thanks for the great introduction. So that's us here on the stage right now together. And as we talked about happy clients before, I am a happy client. So I'm representing Sennheiser today as a happy client. And I have AKQA on my side. So Nicolas, you already know Nicolas. But
representing the happy agency.
Yeah, only happy today. So, but let's jump right into it and setting the scene with kind of a little project introduction. So, as we just heard before, it's about an established brand, so it's about Sennheiser, but that's not 100% true, because Sennheiser was split into two businesses, so the professional audio business, which still belongs to Sennheiser, and the consumer business, which is now part of the Sonova group. So meaning we formed a new business, and with that, there was also the need for us to jump out of the existing environment. So it was not only like the wish from our end to jump out of an existing environment, it was also we were also legally forced to jump out within like a very short period. So we had to find a solution to get out of this environment very fast. And this is where AKQA comes into place. And our challenge was to create a brand flagship store experience equally inspiring and effective in driving online sales. So this was the challenge, but the overall goal, so our ambitious goal, was to launch the Sennheiser Hearing MLP. We call it MLP, not MVP, because it's lovable already. And as a brand flagship store within less than 4 months and with limited IT support. Why do I say limited IT support? It's because basically when you have a carve-out, so when a business jumps out of a huge business, then you have a million tasks, unusual tasks to do. So all resources in IT were fully blocked. So we had to kind of manage this autonomy. We have to manage this like autonomous in the marketing department. And also to give you a brief overview of what were our goals in this project, we wanted to build a future-proof website. So meaning that it's mobile accessible, of course, and also very fast. And we wanted to include all our e-commerce environment. I will tell you a bit more about that later. Also, we wanted to increase brand love and engagement. So it's not only about building a shoppable environment, it's also about building like an environment where the user can actually like feel and understand the quality of our sound. And then, of course, we wanted to grow online sales. It's always a big goal when you go to e-commerce. So we had ambitious goals with our, in total, 26 countries, 14 languages, and 15 different shops. So it's not only one shop connected to that environment, it's 15 in total. So, of course, we also had the goal to increase retention and brand loyalty, but this is also about personalization, and this will follow, so it's not like fully implemented right now. So to tell you a bit more about the timeline, because we already spoiled, it's a tough timeline. And to be honest, it's really tough. So we started with a little discovery phase, meaning that we kind of took a bit time to give AKQA an understanding of the brand and the requirements, and also to kind of set the scene, which are the current gaps we're facing. And this was only like a phase of 2 weeks. We went over to the identify phase, also 2 weeks of then identifying what will be like our vision, so kind of translating into a strategy and also like a concept. And then there's the most interesting phase. And you can see it started in week 5, and it's only 11 weeks of building this first stable version that we then launched. And little spoiler alert, to go to the next phase, which is the scaling phase into the markets, we're still on time. So meaning we launched after 11 weeks the first product into the first market, and we are now, spoiler alert, launched in 18 out of 26 countries, which is amazing. So let's quickly go over to...
Yeah!
Yes!
That's why we're doing composable architecture, right?
That's for you. And yeah, but let's go back to the 11 weeks and hand it over to Nicolas to explain us how we did it.
Thanks. So, amazing challenge that we had from Sennheiser, but amazingly excited we were. I talked about 3 months before, and yet that's our rule, and we believe it's perfect time to release POCs. But usually when we release POC on mark architecture in 3 months, it's to release the implementation of Argolia, for example, on an existing website. Here we are talking a full website, including search, commerce, CRM, and services. So how we did this? First, it started from design. And this is where we start everything at AKQA. And actually, the design process that we have is fundamental to the timeline. And we started by designing a design system, which is this repository of all the components that will be used on the website. It allows us to rationalize our design and to think not from a template page point of view, but really component point of view. So we can reuse the same component everywhere. Here we start on the website, but the idea of this design system is that it can be used by Sennheiser for also other applications, maybe the mobile application at some point. We started it as KQA, but it should live with all partners that works for Sennheiser. It's something that we start, but needs to evolve over time. We built this design system on the principle of atomic design system, which was developed by Brad Frost in, I think it was 2013. Back then, still very relevant today. Even more relevant that we have now amazing tools that enable us to take full power of this, which means we start by designing the smallest element, which are the atoms or text fields, and we compose those atoms into molecules, which are elements which you will see at different places across the website for different functions. That gets us to organisms. Organisms are molecules which are assembled to serve a purpose, here, product configurator. I was talking about the tools. They are fundamental today to use this system. And to enable us to go this fast, we had to add a very specific process between the designers, which work in Figma, probably all know Figma today, and Storybook, where the developer work. Basically, our design system lives in both. The designers work in Figma, the developers work in Storybook, but we need a way to very efficiently put the modules which are made by the designers in Figma in Storybook. It's not magic. Maybe in a couple of months and years, you'll press a button and that will create a full website and component with all those modules. But for now, we can export some CSS for Figma, but not the full code. However, we can automate some of this. We can create notifications of releases from Figma to Storybook. And also from Storybook, when the developers create all their elements, they will test it there. And they might find things that don't work. We need a way to feed back to the designer very quickly to let them know we need to change the module. For example, here, what's great about Storybook when you work in design system is that you can test your components before the actual website data becomes available. And before you spend a lot of time putting all your components together to create a website, you can see if it works with German. You can see if it works well on iPhone or on larger devices. Here, we actually get feedback on accessibility, and we can test accessibility levels directly from components. Working with these new tools, compared to 2 years ago, allow us at KQA to cut our QA time by 60%. When you know that QA is about 30% of a whole project, cutting QA by 60% have a massive impact. Now let's look at another composable text slide. You've seen many today. This is what we've done for Sennheiser. So at the top, you've got a headless layer, which is built on Netlify, of course, and fed by this design system from Storybook. We've used Next.js. It's all server-side generated. This headless layer is consuming all of its data from what we call the Composable service layer. And here we have elements from content, analytics, commerce, search, and customer service. For each of the solutions, we've used Mac solution, which we know are robust, deliver on what we needed, and didn't need custom build and configuration. We didn't have time. We had to use existing services to deliver in 3 months. So for content, we're using Graph CMS, which is an amazing headless CMS, Analytics for analytics. Commerce, they already were using Shopify. So here the idea was to actually move Shopify in a composable headless way, rather than just headful before. For search, we use Search.io, not Argo.io this time. And for customer services, we use SendGrid. This composable layer is auto-scalable, which means the solutions are responsible to maintain themselves. We don't care if there's 2 people on the website at any time, or there's like a couple of thousands. This is the responsibility of the services, and this is so important. So it's not mine. And those services have access to secure private API, which is a fulfillment management, and that can be different per market. Now, headless and headful. Well, it's not just always, life is a bit complex. And yes, we've built a website which provides the same experience for all countries. And this is all headless. However, when we go into the checkout, we have a headful implementation. It makes more sense. As Steve was talking about before, creating a full checkout in headless, well, you need to be ready. And it will take some time because there are so many rules. It just was not possible for us. It didn't make sense even from a financial point of view. And there are amazing solutions provided by the market. I mean, that the headful Shopify checkout totally makes sense, and that enable us to have headless website plugged to headful checkout. And you'll see that many times. I think if you want to go very fast, that's the beauty of composable architecture. It's not all or nothing. You don't have to do 100% headless. If you try to, you will find bottlenecks. Make the right choices. Use legacy where it makes sense. What's amazing about this website being built on Netlify is that it enabled us to have live deployment. Every time a developer was pushing code, we had those releases being made by Netlify in a couple of seconds or minutes that we could run automated and manual tests of them. Like today, and it sounds kind of normal to a lot of younger generation developers today, but it was not the case for many years. And there's still many clients which are working with maybe 1 or 2 environments where it takes about like 30 minutes to release to one environment, and you need to do all of manual code here. Like having maybe about 40 releases per day being made with automation testing is also the reason why we cut our QA by 60%. And here, also, we do so much more visual automation than before. We do visual diffing. This is new. Like, we didn't have that a couple of years ago. It actually checks if something's broken visual on the website before anyone looks at it. We do performance measurement. We get all this data every time. So if one change of code has a big impact of performance, it's rejected, which changes straight away. So you don't build this code legacy into your system. And we do code linting, code quality. Once all of automation is approved, it's go to manual QA, and if that is approved, we release the feature. Now, benefits of no ops. If we built Sennheiser website probably a year to 2 years ago, this is the kind of team we would have needed from client side and agency side. We would have needed marketing, of course. You see over here, you're the client. But we would have needed a lot of client IT. And on our side as agency, we would have needed a lot of DevOps and some backend, and of course the front end, right? That's a lot of interdependency. You can see that responsibilities from deployment is shared. This is friction. Like, that means every time marketing wants something live, they need you at their IT. And you don't like doing that. So that's the old model. A model like this would have delivered a website in about maybe 6, 7, 8 months at the minimum. But with no ops and solution like Netlify, which manages the DevOps for us, this is the team we've done. So we've just removed any dependencies from client IT, DevOps agency, and backend. This was built with a marketing team from Sennheiser giving us the brief, and front end for us. So amazingly empowering for the marketing, which now manages its own releases and talks directly to agency with no dependency on IT. And from our side, this is the rise of a new breed of developer. you can see all of these tasks which are not the responsibility of front-end. The front-end developers today are so empowered. And this is really a game changer. I mean, when you see the type of developers, front-end developers that we try to hire today, it's not just integration or CSS. It's people that can think about mark architecture, that can write JavaScript, that can write Node.js backend code. This is a massive shift, I think, in our industry, and we need to follow it. And this is really pushed by this new Mac layer. Now, the business impacts.
Yes. And I'm from marketing, so I also have to say, or also have to share some business impact here. So as you heard...
And this is the best. We've
this
all
is
been
the
waiting
best?
for it.
You think so? Okay, let's start it. So what basically happened in this 11 weeks, we not only created our beloved MLP, we also created something more. So because of the composable tech architecture and also the design system, we were already able to kind of develop tools. So for example, we have kind of some new features on our page, which then helps the people to find the product that they love. And also what you can see, we also have a super immersive experience, which was our goal in the beginning. So we wanted to not only create an e-commerce, we definitely wanted to create an immersive experience where people can experience the brand. And as you can see, there's one of our biggest tools right now, the Compare tool, where the user can actually compare two products as a site. And I will also share some insights about that one, which is pretty amazing. But let's start with some great numbers, because these numbers are already very promising. And I cannot share the exact numbers, but I can share like the difference between it, so I will do that. And yeah, let's take a look at the first number, which is for me the add to carts, which is a great indicator for us to see that people are actually more to tend to buy products on our own page. And this one is pretty cool because we compared the month before the relaunch and the month after the relaunch of the countries that already had been relaunched right now, so that countries that already are in a new environment. And we can see that the add to carts already increased by 75%, which is great. So that's already a super good result. And add to carts is the one thing, but of course we also want the people to convert on our page. So let's take a look at our e-commerce conversion rate, which is even a better example to share. We also have here, for same comparison, the month before the relaunch, the month after the relaunch for some countries that are already on the new environment. And we have a plus of 136%, which is, we basically doubled the number and more. So also a great result for that. And and also one last number to share, also to talk a bit more about the Compare tool that we were able to develop in the same time because of the composable tech architecture and the design system. It's already 5% of all our checkouts are directly connected to the Compare tool. So that means like 5% of all checkouts, they check out from our Compare tool. So they compare the products and then decide which one is the best for you. So meaning we are already able to see what effect these tools have for us as a client right now, which is super great. So in total, we can say this project is still running. So as when you open the page in UK, we're not live in UK right now. So it's a pity, but of course we will be live in the next 2 months because rolling out the pages is our goal within the next 2 weeks. So we will finish this project in 2 weeks, and then we will go into the next phase, which is then our optimize phase, where we can just then take a look at the data and then evolve this already great product. So, but that's it, I guess.
Yeah, and for me, I mean, again, 3 months. This was done. You can imagine also the financial investment is far, far less than a project like this would have costed about like a year ago. When you see those numbers are real because they come from Shopify. This was a monolith Shopify before. This is now headless Shopify. So there's no tweaks. It's coming from the same source. This is what you get. You can already see the value you can get from market architecture. And I think for me, I'm so excited about this case. Again, like short time, big value, and we hope we can scale that a lot now. Thank you so much.
Thank you.